do young people make of today, of King Charles, of the monarchy, of the future? You're a young person.
I've actually seen, I was quite surprised. I saw a lot of posts on social media, obviously bidding farewell to the Queen and actually saying, God save the King. I've actually seen kind of an uptick in patriotism that I wasn't expecting.
Right.
I'm very curious, though, how the new Prime Minister, the relationship she will have with King Charles, because he's obviously very vocal on things like the Rwanda policy, on green policy and all of that. I just wonder what sort of their weekly meetings will be, because it's a lot harder to
Well, funny enough, Sharon and I were talking about this on Fox this afternoon, and I took slight issue because, Sharon, you think he's going to continue to be outspoken about issues he cares about, because he's been proven right about some of them.
Absolutely.
But I think he has made a decision that now he's monarch, he's not going to do this. I really think he's decided that the only way to be a popular and long-surviving monarch, beloved by the people like his mother, is just to simply stop making public pronouncements about anything that is remotely political. And that would include things like climate change, which are dear to his heart. So I just don't think we're going to see him do that.
The one thing that you did say was absolutely right, that you're never going to please the mob. It's always going to be half of it that's against you.
Yeah.
So
whatever opinion you express. I mean, look, we know. I could go on Twitter and say, I love Monday, right, as a day. And within 10 minutes, there would be the most unbelievable pile of people agreeing with me. Oh, I love it. I love Monday. My favourite day of the year. And here's why. Other people say, are you mad? Have you lost your mind? Monday's the worst day of all time. In other words, everything has to immediately lead to an extreme reaction. Everything has to be a toxic debate. It can't be just a bit of fun. And that's the way Twitter, in particular, social media, has whipped everyone in a kind of permanent lather. And I don't divorce myself from part of this, by the way, because I quite often get sucked in and start, having a go.
You're a very consensual figure, aren't you?
I like to think that I am somebody who expresses firmly held opinions.
Oil on the water.
I'm not taking divisive lectures from you, Lex. One of the most brilliant and yet pungent writers in the business.
I don't think Charles can possibly become political.
He can't, can he?
He can't. And if he looks at his mother's record, I mean, his
well, I would say he can't continue to be political, because he has been quite
he can't
political.
continue to do that. Yeah. And I think he accepted that on the first Friday when he said, my role is now going to change.
Yes.
And he has to just pull back from that and be a much more tranquil presence.
And he has to be
But I do hope that, I mean, his is a face that naturally frowns a lot.
Yes.
I want my king... I'm proud of King Charles. I love Charles.
To smile more.
I want him to smile more.
Yeah.
And he's good at laughter.
I mean, look, let's be fair.
He is
so far in his reign, he's been mourning his mother.
Of course.
And I think that's easy to forget. So he's had to tour the country, probably take 100 phone calls a day from world leaders and stuff.
Yeah. He's exhausted.
Console his family, show us he's king. I mean, the pressure on the guy is just unbelievable. He took it out on a pen. That's how bad things are.
Yeah.
Sharon, what does it say about our country today, do you think? What did you feel when you were watching it? Were you getting emotional about a country from the past that we're slightly losing or have lost? Or did you feel in a way it was a good chance to refocus us on what makes this country great?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
Really, Piers, a bit of both. I love the way that the whole country was so united and so together, and there was so much positivity when you would go into the streets. And yet there are, certain groups here that are against royalty, but I think overall, I think the royalty, I hope to God, is safe here.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. But I think it would be... We have a special thing. There's 40-odd monarchies left in the world, of which 12 are European. You could take all the European royals outside of ours down Tottenham Court Road, and nobody would know who they are, right?
No, faceless.
So I think that we are in a very unique position with our monarchy. It is a unique institution in terms of fame and global renown, right?
I think it's in safe hands. I think one of the things I would say about the younger generation, we're genuinely excited about William and Kate. And I think what would be really smart for Charles to do is to draw on that. Any sort of engagements that he has that, is very near and dear to his heart, he should actually make sure that William is very present there, because it's kind of like handing down the mantle.
What's going to happen, Quentin, with the Commonwealth? You're seeing Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand saying it's inevitable that in her lifetime New Zealand will go republic. Australia's flirting with it, has a new leader, Anthony Albanese, who is certainly... not being full-on Republican, but certainly indicated that he may go that way if the people wanted it. You're seeing some of the Caribbean countries immediately indicating they want to have referendums within several years. You know, this could, if he's not careful, King Charles III, you could get a domino effect of countries suddenly thinking the Commonwealth as a concept is over.
I think that there are two slightly different things being conflated there, whether or not Charles is head of state or whether or not countries are part of the Commonwealth. It's two slightly different things. I think you have to let those countries decide for themselves. And to try to resist that or try to impose our royal family as their heads of state as well will be entirely wrong and counterproductive. And so you live and let live. And
But
you let these countries decide for
How
themselves.
much is the racism allegation, which Meghan Markle, the first biracial member of the royal family, of course, how much has her racism claims, do you think, Esther, had an impact, but certainly in some of the Caribbean countries?
I do think it's had a negative impact, but not as much as people think, because I don't think they're highly respected figures, Harry and Meghan. I think they come across as quite whingy. And I genuinely think most people that talk about the Commonwealth don't understand it. You know, there's so many people in the Commonwealth that were glued to their TVs today. There's so many people from the Commonwealth that actually are very fond of the monarchy and the royal family for various reasons. I think one thing I have noticed with sort of the Republican wave is it's very cyclical in terms of politics. So you have a Labour leader in Australia, you have Jacinda Ardern, who couldn't be more left-wing if she tried. You know, they're always more on the Republican side of things. But again, if, you know, the elections swing the other way and you have more right-leaning governments in, they're not probably going to push for
By the way,
a
Quentin, there was a
republic.
moment today where, have you done your sketch for tomorrow?
I've filed.
Because I don't know if you spotted this, but there was I think it was an Australian crew, I think it was. There's a clip of an Australian crew. Now, we all had difficulty today identifying
Who was
public
who, yeah.
figures, right? A lot of them were, you know, heads of states, which we just didn't recognise and so on. But you would have thought they
That would
may
have been
have had...
Liz Truss, by the way.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this?
No?
Look at this.
Who's this?
No, hard to identify. Maybe minor royals, members of the... I can't identify them
We
at this
can't
point.
spot everyone,
no.
unfortunately. They look like they could well be local dignitaries. It's hard to see. We're looking at the backs of their heads mostly.
But I think we are now getting to the pointy end, as they say, of the... I'm just told that was Liz Truss, the new Prime Minister, in the distance that we could see hopping out of
Going
that
through
car.
the door.
Come on, Australia!
Down to the dregs.
For
By the way, did
goodness
you see
sake.
the spider?
I recognised your Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, immediately and announced him on American
I think
television.
you're two ahead of me there. But did you see the spider? When the coffin came in at the west door and was being carried into the Abbey, there was a spider visible on the wreath. It was a lovely touch.
Really?
I thought a lovely moment. There was a living creature on the coffin.
It was, yeah, I mean, I love moments like that. As
Tony Blair, did you see Tony Blair?
I
Wearing
did.
his garter. He needs a haircut, I thought.
I think he's morphing back to his old rock god days, isn't he?
Do you
Tony Blair?
think?
Yeah.
I didn't
Looking a bit like a
recognise him.
waxwork.
Yeah.
I honestly
It's quite
didn't
funny watching
recognise
them
him.
all together because what I'm told is, I was asking someone who's, you know, connected to one of the prime ministers, and all the living prime ministers were there. So you've got John Major, you've got Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, you've got David Cameron, you've got Theresa May, and Boris Johnson. And although, here's David Cameron today, although this is all of them we're going to see
Looking chunky.
coming past here. So there's Gordon Brown. So you have them all these incredibly different people, all of whom have been at loggerheads at various stages with each other. There's the rock god, Tony.
There's the old waxwork.
But it's an interesting thing that apparently when they all get together, there is a shared commonality of experience of being Prime Minister that actually does bring them together a bit.
Except for Major and Boris.
Is that right?
They will not talk.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Complete daggers drawn. They're always kept as far apart as possible. Only plastic knives when those two are around.
Is it really?
Yeah.
But it must be a strange club. There's only 6 of them, aren't there, left?
It's quite a lot. We've never had so many.
How many surviving? There's only about 5, 6
There's
US
bags of
presidents. I mean, these are small clubs that people are in.
Yeah, they've known the codes to the nuclear button, and that does have a sort of a gelling thing, and also they're in probably the same speakers.
How many? Actually, I think it's 4.
Employment.
It's 4 American presidents, isn't it? How many are still alive? Trump, Biden, Obama, Clinton, Carter.
Carter,
5.
yes.
Yeah.
And Carter's now in his late
He's
90s.
very
I think.
old,
Extraordinary
yes.
man. Actually.
Yeah.
Biden, I thought, should have been given a more prominent position today. I thought it was a pity that our most important ally wasn't perhaps given a slightly better seat. I think he was
Really?
down, he was
Yeah,
down,
'cause he
down
was
somewhere
in the
near
middle
the,
of the dignitaries,
the
yeah.
top man from Andorra, I think, was near him. But, you know, that's the democracy of a church service. And what a lot of fantastic singing there was.
Yes.
The hymn singing, I thought
the choristers were
terrific.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, I wasn't sure about some of the music in the Abbey. The Macmillan piece didn't really do it for
Did
me.
you get emotional, Sharon, watching it?
Very.
Did you? Yeah. What was the moment through
very.
the whole day where you were most affected, do you think?
It was just one of those days where you really just wanted to concentrate on watching every minute of it. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just wanted to watch it all because, as I said to you earlier, it's history.
Yeah. The moment for me actually was when, right at the end, when her coffin started to be lowered.
Oh.
I found that very, very affecting on me. Because I thought, well, that really is the end. That's it. That's going to be the last moment we see the Queen.
I thought, this is it. She's now with her husband.
Yes, well, that's the uplifting part of the day. Is that
Right at the very start, there was, at the Abbey, there was the ringing, the tolling 96 times of the tenor bell at the Abbey. And you'll have been to English country church funerals.
Very much so.
They do the same thing. They ring the bell. They don't ring it 96 times, of course.
Yeah.
But the single bell summoning the faithful to prayer. And the mourners to prayer. And I thought that was
and
very
the gun
effective.
salute, of course, every
that
minute.
was because at the heart of this was a state occasion, but it's also an Anglican funeral.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the commendation when the Archbishop of Canterbury, I haven't always been his greatest fan, Justin
I don't
Welby.
imagine many people are.
But, well, he did it very well. The commendation at the end where he said, "Go forth, O Christian soul."
Yeah.
It was very touching.
Yes, it was.
This was a narrow coffin there. Narrow coffin. Did you notice how
She's
narrow
so
it was?
tiny.
And that was the focus on it, was on the coffin.